Greetings and salutations, Dave Duford here at the Dig Agency. Here we are again with another case study testimonial of a fantastically successful new Dig Agency agent. I've got Mr. Cornell Pearson here. He just got started with us recently, and I believe this is his first or second full month of working with us. He wrote 74,286 AP. That's a lot, guys, in just 1 month selling remotely over the phone with free leads. And he is here today to tell you about his background, how he got into insurance, why he joined the Dig Agency, and to give you some perspective about what it's really like to sell over the phone as a newer agent. If you're interested in the insurance sales business, you're thinking about selling remote, something like life insurance or any insurance really, this is for you. So with that said, let me bring on Cornell. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, David. Thanks for having me on.
Hey,
It was
thank
my
you for being
first
here.
month. I only had like 3 days in September, and then that was my first month. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So this is you're literally your first full month, and you're already like, I think what top is it? Were you number two position or number one?
I was number two. Oh, well, yeah, I was number like two. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think I only had 1 week at number one. I'm definitely trying to get up there, but
that's
yeah,
awesome, man.
number two.
That's awesome. So good. So tell us about yourself. What's your background, and how did you even get into insurance sales to begin with?
Yeah, I would say I've always pretty much been in sales. That's kind of always been my thing ever since I was like 16. And the guys would be like, man, you're working too hard. And I just never liked that feeling of like I'm working harder than everybody else or making the same amount. I wanted to kind of be rewarded for how hard I could work.
Yeah.
So always been in sales. Actually, when I was a young man, and well, I'm still a young man, but when I was in college, I got introduced through a certain agency. I don't know if we're allowed to say names and stuff. So I got introduced and I kind of stuck with it. It was really good, but I had to go back to school. So I kind of brushed it off.
Ah,
Yeah, finished my degree. But still into a bunch of sales jobs. I got a business management degree but I always wanted to go into sales. So
right.
I was always in the sales, got back into the industry through a friend when I moved out to Los Angeles. He was like, hey, I'm an independent health insurance broker. Tried that for a bit, but health insurance is such a long game.
Yeah.
Then got back with the bigger company again. So you would be my fourth company.
Okay. Okay.
And so, yeah, that's a little bit about it.
So what appealed to us this time around? Why did you join the Dig Agency as opposed to another agency?
Yes, sir. So I've been in the industry now for about 3 years, in this current stint. I don't really count that first one. That was just like an introduction 10 years ago. So since this 3 year stint, I've really become, knowledgeable of the industry. You've been so helpful. I was watching you since you were like, hey, go and do these appointments, and that's how you can generate leads is through doing the presentations. I mean,
Yeah,
so
that's way back in the day, man. That's
yeah,
when
so
I
I've
had
been
hair
watching.
on my head.
So, I've been watching since then and trying to kind of recreate these things everywhere I went. And it got to the point where I'm like, man, why am I trying so hard to recreate this when I can just go join those guys? So I kind of made it a reality, took it from just watching it on YouTube and made it a reality. So,
Right. Right. So it's the system, just dialing into it. It's already there. You just have to plug yourself in and go, basically.
yeah, yeah, it was definitely the system. And I mean, I had some success of my own. That's why I was so confident. Like, if I just give this thing my all when I get to them, I knew the system worked before I got here. And it's only been improved since I've gotten here. So,
Yeah, that's one thing I really stressed everybody watching here is that I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but there is a lot that makes a successful system. It's not just a commission level. It's how the dialer works. It's how the lead selection works. Do you buy the leads from a third party source or do they self-generate them? We self-generate them, guys. Totally different than the garbage that's typically sold or offered through free lead agencies. Um, how's the CRM system? How's the automation? How's the training? What's the carrier lineup, right? Like you really have to do your due diligence to find the perfect value proposition. Just because it's free doesn't mean it's going to be equally of value, right? So,
and and
yeah,
I've tried a lot as an independent agent. I've tried a lot. Not only I wasn't just only watching you, of course. I watched pretty much everybody, and I've tried so many different methods. I bought my own leads. I've tried the friends and family. I've gone to the networking
mm,
events. I've tried so many different angles, and sure, certain things work for different people. But just in terms of overall percentage of giving yourself the best chance to be successful, I knew for me, I had to come with you guys. So.
that's awesome, man. Well, good. So, walk us through what it's like actually being on the phone, because a lot of people, Cornell, who are watching this are thinking about selling over the phone or thinking about insurance, but they're unsure of what to really expect. Since you've just finished your first full month, had a fantastic month, kind of give us the lowdown on like what is it really like to talk to these prospects? Are they nice?
Right.
Are they mean? Like what are you running into? Tell whatever you would tell somebody brand new who's kind of inquiring more about the business.
Yeah, so that's what was new for me. The final expense, I had no idea. And I was just smiling to myself a bit because I've actually seen you, when I was doing some research, run across you in the insurance forums as
Oh,
well,
really? Okay, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I've seen you on those as well. So, just the kind of stuff that people put out there for certain companies, it's like you can't let one company spoil the whole industry, so to speak.
Yeah,
So, I've seen where they're like, oh, there's no money in this, or oh, you can't do this, or oh, that method doesn't work, or you're going to get free leads and you're doing this. But you really just have to look at each individual component of the system and how it's going to work for you.
right.
Um, so, I mean, yeah, overall, uh, I don't know. When I looked at everybody else out there, kind of, what they were saying, I just kind of wanted to experience it for myself because, like I said, I did a lot of research. I think people should be as knowledgeable as possible with these things.
Right.
That is a big deal.
So what's it like selling the final expense prospect? Tell me about them. How do they
Oh yeah,
compare
yeah.
to the others?
Okay, so for the final expense, I would say it's really more straight to the point, which is nice for me. I've been in some places where the sales cycle would be a month, if you could believe that.
Yeah.
It's like meet four times before you even try to sell the product, And that was really tough for me sometimes because I knew that in my heart, I believe that people don't want to meet four times. So that was just my philosophy. So selling the final expense, you get straight to the point. And I have a more customer service background because of, how I'm brought up in this industry. So I always want to be there as people's, go-to point of contact. And I think that helps me a little bit with referrals a bit, but more so just, yeah, just being there for people as well. So I would say, it's a little bit customer service, more I make it for myself, but yeah, overall, it's a much faster sales cycle, a lot more straight to the point. You kind of get in and get out, but you can be that extra layer. Hey, I got your back on this. Give them your contact information and be there for them as well. So,
Do you feel like dealing with elderly people is different than maybe a younger population? What's good about it? What's bad about it?
oh yeah, yeah, 100%. I should definitely touch on that. Yeah, it's a big difference for sure because I never had been anything that was targeted like this. It has its strengths and weaknesses. There are a lot more, they get bombarded with phone calls all the time from this and that. So they're a lot more wary as they should be. Some people are preying on these people.
Right.
But in the same sense, if you come off as a genuine person, it makes it that much better to, as I was saying, be an advocate in their corner. And they're going to be that much more appreciative of you when you're doing what you say you're going to do. So it's a little bit more difficult overall because or not overall, it's a little bit more difficult initially
Yeah.
just because they're a little bit more reluctant to talk to you. But overall, I think it creates a better experience because you're doing right for people that are normally getting the short end of the stick. So that makes you feel
Right.
good and it makes them feel amazing as well. So,
Yeah, that's what's cool is, these people want to trust you. They want to like you, but they also don't want to get burned. And if you are trained well like you are, and you know what to say to get past that objection up front, you'll find a lot of these people at the end of the day when you sell them, they're very thankful. And you've helped their family out in a way that nobody else could. You could be, Cornell, the last person ever talked about insurance. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's
it
like,
seems like it's happened a few times already. And,
yeah,
and like many of us, they all have a story. Every single one of them have a story about how they were wronged in the past in some manner. So it's
right.
like, yeah, you don't want to be another story like that. So
Right. So wrapping this up, Cornell, again, thanks for being here. What final tips would you give anybody looking to get into the business of selling insurance? What would you tell them if they want to succeed as quickly as you have? What couple of points would you help them or give them to help them to do just that?
yeah, I think, I knew, like I said, I was trying your system for a long time on my own. I knew what I should have done a long time ago. So I would say go with your first mind. If you're at a company or something's not making sense, don't. I've spent a year at a company and I knew it wasn't making sense, but just powering through. So, don't listen to too many outside factors. Do what's best for you and your family. Do a lot of research into these places. And that's the best thing. You know, it's no harm in getting in and spending 2, 3 months and figuring out that it's not for you. It's when you waste years in the situation. So just do the best you can and then put your best foot forward. You're going to work. It's not easy, but just, yeah, the situation is everything in this industry. I've seen people succeed in situations I failed at and, vice versa. So yeah, it's really just about being situational.
You bring up a really important point. I mean, like there are people right now that could be just hating this business that if they just had a different opportunity, it would be 180, and that's how it is a lot of time, guys. It's like football, it's like any sport. Some coaches perform real well one place, but just terrible at another, and it's a whole culture and environment thing, and you just got to find where you fit. And don't be afraid and throw out the whole industry and say it's bad. Don't be a Debbie Downer about it. It just may be the bad fit for you, and you just got to pivot. And I agree with you too. It's better to do a move earlier than later because it's usually much more expensive and harder to change the longer you're with something, even if you know in your heart of hearts that it's bad. So don't
Yeah.
be afraid of change.
And it's scary, it's like when you get into something, you rather would try to make that work instead of
Yeah,
taking the unknown of,
yeah, yeah. The devil you know
so
is better than the devil you don't know, right? We all
yeah,
that. And we don't want to quit either, especially salespeople. Like we know it's going to be tough, and we got to keep going. We got to have that grit, but you also have to have that discernment, and you got to know, man, it shouldn't be like this, so you should go somewhere else. And there's nothing
yeah.
wrong.
And these type of stories, not just only on your channel, but overall, I always looked at these stories and I say, if they do it, if they can do it, I know I can do it. And it took me 3 years. I'm a little saying it out loud. I'm a little ashamed to admit it now because, what was I doing? But at the same time, I just knew, man, people make careers out of this living. It's an honest living if you do it the right way. I know I can figure it out. You know what I mean? So you see these success stories, just know you can figure it out in the right situation, And I don't even think about leaving this industry, so that's why I can't even come from that perspective. I'm sorry if you need
Yeah.
to get out, and I'm not telling you to get out. I'm sorry, but
Well, you find your way. And then you eventually, I told this to Scott Gorish earlier. It's like you can make mistakes. It's okay. You just got to learn from that mistake the first time. And eventually you make so many mistakes that you've run out of making the mistakes and you kind of know what to do now because you won't do the wrong things anymore, right? So that's kind of the lifespan of agents, right? They eventually find where they should be. So if you've made mistakes in the past, guys, don't be too hard on yourself. Figure out what not to do and you'll get closer to doing the right thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Cornell, you've been a great guest to have on. Thank you so much for your insight. If you guys are interested to learn more about the Dig Agency, where we specialize in remote life insurance sales and provide free leads in an amazing system, go to daviddufour.com. We've got a overview video that describes everything in detail. We've got FAQ videos that go into even more detail about questions that commonly agents have. And then we've got a bunch of case studies like this, a preponderance of proof that what we do works if you work the system. You can come to a Q&A call to ask us questions live if you have any more questions beyond the initial videos. And then if you like what you see, the final step is simply to apply. We are an application interview process. We do not take everybody. We know who's a good fit and who isn't. And our goal is to find people who are a very good match for what we do because we know that when we put them into our system and they're a good match, the sky is the limit. So thank you guys so much for watching out there. And again, special thanks to Cornell. Thank you so much for being here, man, and providing perspective.
yes, sir, it was a pleasure. I look forward to speaking with you.